There comes a time in your life when you can't keep blaming anyone else. You can't keep pointing fingers at your circumstances, your past, your parents, your job, or your environment. There comes a moment when you realize that the only thing standing between you and everything you want is you. Not your lack of talent, not your lack of opportunity. You, your mindset, your effort, your grind. The limits that you place on yourself are the only thing stopping you from living the life that's been calling your name since the day you were born. You say you want success, but are you really ready to fight for it? Are you really ready to go through the pain, the struggle, the doubt, and the fear that comes with greatness? Because everyone says they want to win, but not everyone is built to bleed for it. You see, we live in a world where it's easy to settle. It's easy to scroll, complain, procrastinate, and pretend like we're doing something with our lives. But deep down, you know you're meant for more. You can feel it when you wake up in the morning. That quiet voice that says, you're wasting your potential. That ache in your chest when you see someone else doing what you could have done, living how you could have lived, if you just pushed a little harder. And that's not envy. That's your soul reminding you that you still got work to do. You still got mountains to climb. You still got greatness left inside you. And it's suffocating because you're keeping it locked behind your fear, your excuses, your comfort. Let me tell you something powerful. You were not born to live average. You were not born to play small, to keep waiting for someone to rescue you. You were born to rise, to dominate, to shatter the limits that life has tried to put on you. But it starts right here, right now, with a decision. A decision to stop being soft. A decision to stop quitting when things get hard. A decision to take your pain, your past, your failures and use them as fuel. Every scar, every rejection, every time you were counted out, it was preparing you for this very moment. So if you're watching this, don't just listen. Feel it. Hit you in your chest. This isn't just another motivational talk. This is a mirror being held up to your soul. It's time to stop dreaming and start doing. Stop talking and start building. Stop waiting for the right time and start making the time right. Because your time isn't next year, it's not someday, it's now. The question is, are you ready to stop living limited? Are you ready to break everything that's held you back? Because if you are, then let's go. It's time to step into your power. It's time to unleash the beast. It's time to live like there are no more limits. Every single limit that has ever existed in your life started in your mind. It wasn't the world that told you you couldn't do it. It was the voice inside your head that whispered, well, not enough. You built walls around yourself without even realizing it. You convinced yourself that certain dreams were too big, certain goals were too far, and certain levels of success were not for people like you. But the truth is, the boundaries that hold you back aren't made of steel or stone. They're made of belief, and belief can be rebuilt. The problem is, most people never challenge the mental cage they live in. They decorate it, they get comfortable in it, and they call it reality. But reality isn't what you see, it's what you decide to believe is possible. You can't talk about removing limits if you still think like a prisoner. Freedom doesn't begin when the world changes for you. It begins when your mindset does. You've been taught since childhood to think within borders. You've been programmed to accept average, to fear rejection, to play small. Maybe your environment made you feel like your potential had a ceiling. Maybe people told you your dreams were unrealistic. Maybe every time you tried to climb, life knocked you down so hard that you started believing that maybe you weren't meant to rise. But those experiences didn't define your limits, they exposed your strength. And the problem is, you mistook those setbacks for signs to stop. You mistook temporary pain for permanent boundaries. That's where most people lose. They confuse a hard moment with an impossible mission. The truth is, you were never limited by ability, you were limited by permission. You kept waiting for someone to tell you that you could when you were supposed to decide it yourself. You see, life isn't waiting for you to be ready, it's waiting for you to believe. Because the moment you shift your belief, your entire world shifts with it. You can take the same person, same talent, same body, and give them a different mindset, and they will produce a different life. Because success starts internally before it manifests externally. You can't keep saying, I want more while secretly believing you're not worthy of it. You can't keep saying, I'll go all in while still holding on to your excuses. Excuses are the bricks that build the walls of limitation. Every time you tell yourself why you can't, you build another layer between you and your potential. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you reinforce the lie that you've already hit your limit. But those limits don't exist. They only exist because you've repeated them long enough to make them feel real. You have to unlearn what weakness has taught you. You have to break the habit of underestimating yourself. When you wake up every morning, you're either feeding your limitations or fighting them. You can't do both. Either you talk yourself into staying small or you talk yourself into rising. Every moment you spend doubting your power is a moment you could have spent building it. The truth is, your greatest prison is not the world. It's the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't be more. And that story needs to die. That voice in your head that keeps reminding you of your past, that keeps replaying your failures, that keeps comparing your progress to someone else's, silence it. Because that voice doesn't represent your truth, it represents your fear. And fear doesn't deserve to lead your life. You have to get uncomfortable with the idea that you're more powerful than you've been living. You have to scare yourself with your own potential. Because the day you realize that you've been living below your capacity, it'll hurt. It should hurt. You should feel that sting of regret every time you remember a moment you gave up too early. You should feel the weight of all the times you accepted it good enough. But don't drown in that pain. Use it. Let it fuel you. Let it be the reminder that your limits are an illusion you created when you are afraid to fail. Every time you hit a wall, it's not a dead end. It's a test. Life is asking, how bad do you want it? And most people quit because they answer that question with weakness. But if you want to destroy your limits, you have to respond with hunger. You have to look at the wall and say, I built this so I can tear it down. The truth is, the people who break limits don't have superpowers. They just refuse to believe in barriers. They see obstacles differently. Where most people see endings, they see beginnings. Where most people see risk, they see opportunity. They understand that limits are lies created by comfort, and comfort is the slowest killer of dreams. You think safety is peace, but it's a trap. Because the longer you stay in the comfort zone, the smaller your life becomes. The smaller your dreams become, and the smaller you become. You were not born to live confined by fear. You were born to break through it. Every cell in your body was designed to adapt, to grow, to evolve. Your mind is a weapon, but only if you train it to fight for your freedom. Every time you doubt yourself, remind yourself of this. You have survived everything that was meant to break you. You've been through pain, loss, failure, rejection, and yet you're still here. That means you've already proven you can endure. Now it's time to prove that you can dominate. You don't need anyone's permission to go higher. You don't need validation to take your next step. You don't need to explain your dream to people who stop dreaming. The only thing you need is a decision to stop believing the lies that limit you and start believing the truth that liberates you. You are capable of more. You are built for more. But you'll never see it until you start thinking like the version of you that's already living it. You have to destroy the mental barriers first. Because when your mind breaks free, your body follows. When your beliefs expand, your results multiply. That's how transformation works. It's not about doing more, it's about believing differently. It's about rewriting the narrative you've been living under. Stop saying I can't. Start saying I will. Stop saying it's hard. Start saying it's possible. Because the truth is, the word a limit only exists for those who stop trying. Once you decide there are no limits, you'll start seeing possibilities where others see problems. You'll start turning pain into progress and fear into focus. No one is coming to save you from the walls you built. You have to break them yourself. You have to become the type of person who refuses to live small, who refuses to settle, who refuses to let the world convince them that they're ordinary. You have to be dangerous in your belief. You have to look at your reflection every morning and say, I'm done letting my mind play small. Because the day you stop believing in limits is the day you start becoming unstoppable. And when that moment comes, when you finally break free from the boundaries you built, you'll realize it was never the world holding you back. It was you, and it's always been you. When you decide that there are no more limits, you are declaring war on every excuse you've ever believed. You're saying to the world, I'm done living inside a box someone else built for me. The second key to breaking limits is understanding that your real power only shows up when you move past comfort, fear, and resistance. The truth is your limits are not physical, they're psychological. They live in your mind, not in your body. They whisper lies, telling you that you're tired when you got more to give, that you're done when you've barely started, that you can't when the only thing holding you back is the belief that you can. The only way to destroy that lie is to push yourself beyond the line your mind has drawn. Because once you cross that invisible line, you realize it was never real. Every human being has two versions of themselves, the one that lives inside limits and the one that lives beyond them. The first version is built by fear, doubt, and comfort. It's predictable, safe, and ordinary. The second version is built through pain, discipline, and courage. It's unpredictable, dangerous, and extraordinary. The gap between those two versions is the battlefield. Most people never fight that war. They stay in the first version because it feels familiar. But if you want freedom, if you want greatness, if you want to see what you're really made of, you have to walk into that battlefield and be willing to bleed. You have to be willing to suffer for something greater than comfort. Because comfort kills potential faster than failure ever could. When you decide to go past your limits, you're not just training your body, you're training your mind to stop quitting. You're training your spirit to become unbreakable. You start to see life differently. The things that once scared you begin to lose power. The challenges that used to make you doubt yourself become fuel. The pain that once made you stop now becomes proof that you're growing. Because pain is not the signal to quit, it's the signal to evolve. The moment you understand that everything changes, you stop running from discomfort and start chasing it. You stop waiting for motivation and start acting out of discipline. You stop trying to be comfortable and start trying to be capable. See, most people want to grow, but they don't want to go through what growth demands. They want success, but not the suffering. They want results, but not the grind. They want results, but not the grind. But the truth is, there's no way around it. You can't outthink the struggle. You can't outsmart pain. You have to face it. You have to look at it dead in the eyes and move anyway. Every limit you've ever felt was created by avoidance, by choosing what's easy over what's necessary. But when you finally stop running and confront the hard things, you take back control. You stop being a victim of your own mind. That's when you realize you were never weak. You were just undertrained. Your limits are the walls your comfort built to keep you safe from pain. But what you don't realize is that those same walls are keeping you from power. You can't feel alive inside a cage. You can't feel proud while avoiding the climb. You can't feel fulfilled living small. There's something inside you that wants to expand, that wants to test the edge, that wants to see how far you can go. That voice inside is your true self, the part of you that refuses to settle. But that voice gets buried under noise, under doubt, fear, and the opinions of others. When you start pushing past limits, that voice gets louder. It begins to guide you and starts saying, keep going, you're not done yet. That's the voice of purpose. And once you start listening to it, you become unstoppable. You have to build a mindset that no longer negotiates with weakness, because limits are born from negotiations. You tell yourself, I'll stop here, and that becomes the border of your potential. But the moment you decide that there's no stopping, no turning back, no quitting, that's the moment you break the border. That's the moment your limits start to fear you. You stop asking for permission and start taking control. You stop saying, I hope I can, and start saying, it will. And when your mind gets trained like that, nothing can cage you. You could be tired, broken, or alone, but your will becomes the only thing that matters. The difference between the ones who break limits and the ones who stay average isn't talent. It's tolerance. How much pain can you tolerate before you stop? How much rejection, failure, and delay can you take before you lose faith? Because the ones who make it, they're not stronger. They just stay longer. They can take more. They understand that everything worth having will test everything you are. But if you keep going when most people quit, if you refuse to surrender even when it hurts, you eventually hit a place where the limits disappear. You start seeing possibilities where others see obstacles. You start creating opportunities where others make excuses. You start realizing that the only thing you ever needed was already inside you. It just needed pressure to reveal itself. You can't grow in a comfort zone because there's no resistance there. The muscle doesn't build without tension. The mind doesn't expand without challenge. The spirit doesn't strengthen without sacrifice. Limits are meant to be destroyed, not obeyed. You weren't designed to live inside fear, to play small, to survive. You were built to dominate, to create, to rise. But to access that power, you've got to train yourself to go beyond what's enough. Enough is the enemy. Enough is what stops you from seeing how far you can really go. When you say enough, you start dying slowly. Your dreams shrink, your fire fades, and your potential suffocates under excuses. So if you really want to live a life that means something, you have to make a no more limits, not just a phrase, but a lifestyle. You have to wake up every day and ask, how far can I go today? Push one more rep, one more call, one more hour, one more try. You have to push until your mind says stop, and then go further. Because every time you do, your old self dies a little more, and your new self is born stronger. This is how legends are made. They don't have easier lives. They just refuse to accept the limits that life tries to place on them. Remember this. When you decide there are no more limits, life won't get easier. It'll get harder. But that's how you'll know you're on the right path. Because the path of no limits isn't for the weak. It's for the ones who are willing to outlast, outwork, and not believe everyone around them. And when you live like that, when you fight like that, you become something that can't be stopped. Not by fear, not by pain, not by doubt. Because once you break the limits in your mind, the world can't hold you anymore. You become the limit. When you live with a no more limits of mindset, you begin to understand that your potential is not something you find, it's something you build. And the way you build it is through consistency and hunger. The third keynote is about staying hungry. Even after you've achieved what most people would call enough, it's about refusing to settle. Because the truth is, the moment you start getting comfortable, you start losing momentum. The second you begin to believe you've done enough, life begins to slow you down. Hunger isn't just a feeling, it's a way of life. It's that internal fire that keeps burning even when there's no applause, no recognition, and no reward. It's what separates those who hit the top and fade away from those who rise, stay, and dominate. When you stay hungry, you refuse to let success make you soft. Most people lose their edge, not because they fail, but because they succeed and then stop pushing. They hit one goal and they start coasting. Ooh. They get a taste of comfort and they forget what it felt like to grind with nothing. That's how hunger died. But the ones who remain unstoppable, they never let that hunger die out. They remember where they came from. They remember the nights they were overlooked, the times they were broke, the moments when no one believed in them. They use that memory like fuel. They keep the fire alive by constantly reminding themselves that there's always another level to reach. Staying hungry means you don't allow your past victories to become the reason for your present laziness. See, hunger is not about desperation. It's about purpose. It's about knowing that no matter how much you achieve, there's still more inside you that hasn't been unleashed yet. The hunger to grow, to evolve, to become more, that's what drives progress. When you stop being hungry, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start dying. Even if your life looks perfect from the outside, that's why you can't let comfort become your coffin. Your coffin. You have to stay uncomfortable because comfort kills greatness. You have to keep chasing improvement, not perfection. You have to treat every day like a new opportunity to go beyond yesterday's version of you. There will be times when your hunger is tested. You'll reach a point where everything around you tells you to relax, to slow down, to enjoy what you've earned. And yes, rest is important, but there's a difference between resting and retiring. You can recover without becoming complacent. You can appreciate what you have without losing your drive for more. Because hunger is not about dissatisfaction. It's about evolution. It's not about greed. It's about growth. It's about knowing that what you're capable of tomorrow is greater than what you've done today. The truly hungry never stop chasing that version of themselves that still hasn't arrived. Think about this. Every great athlete, every visionary, every legend had one thing in common. They never stopped hungering for more. Even after winning championships, breaking records, or reaching success, they went right back to work. Why? Because they weren't chasing trophies. They were chasing mastery. They were chasing that feeling of knowing they gave everything inside them. They were chasing the edge, the place where you feel alive because you're still stretching your limits. Hunger is what makes life exciting. Without it, even success becomes dull. You need that hunger to feel purpose, to feel motion, to feel like you're becoming someone greater. Staying hungry also means you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop measuring your worth against what people around you are doing. Because the moment you start comparing, you limit yourself to someone else's standards. You weren't born to match anyone. You were born to break your own boundaries. So your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Every morning you wake up and ask, how can I outdo myself today? That's hunger. That's discipline. That's how you keep evolving when the world around you stops. But here's the truth. Hunger fades if you feed it with the wrong things. If you keep surrounding yourself with comfort, with people who tell you you've done enough, with environments that reward mediocrity, your fire will start to fade. That's why you have to protect your environment. Stay around people who make you uncomfortable in the best way. You're people who are achieving more, thinking bigger, dreaming louder, because hunger is contagious, but so is complacency. You have to decide which one you're letting in. If you stay around small minds, your dreams will shrink. But if you stay around hungry minds, your limits will stretch. Another thing about hunger, it's not always glamorous. It's not always loud. Sometimes hunger is quiet. It's you staying up when the world sleeps. It's you studying, training, practicing, or preparing while others waste time. It's you saying no to things that others say yes to because your vision means more than momentary pleasure. Hunger is sacrifice. It's not about being motivated, it's about being committed. Motivation fades when things get hard, but hunger doesn't care about comfort. It only cares about progress. There will come days when the hunger feels like a curse. You'll feel restless, unsatisfied, and frustrated. You'll wonder why you can't just be content like everyone else. But that's because you're built differently. You weren't made to settle for good enough. You were made to chase what's next. You were made to keep pushing until the day you die. That hunger in you is not a problem. It's your power. It's the reason why you'll achieve what most people only dream about. It's the reason your name will mean something long after you're gone. Staying hungry means keeping your heart humble and your ambition fierce. It means knowing that every level of success demands a higher level of discipline. The more you achieve, the harder you have to work to stay there. Because the higher you rise, the greater the resistance. But the truly hungry love that resistance. They feed off it. They use it as proof that they're still growing. The moment you start seeing challenges, opportunities, instead of obstacles, your hunger becomes unstoppable. You stop complaining about the weight and start getting stronger from lifting it. So staying hungry is about mastering the art of never being satisfied. Not because you're ungrateful, but because you know there's more to you than what's been revealed. It's about living with fire in your heart, discipline in your soul, and purpose in your mind. It's about being addicted to progress, not praise. It's about being so dedicated to your evolution that you refuse to rest in mediocrity. The hunger has to burn so deep that no rejection, no delay, no failure can extinguish it. Because that hunger, that insatiable desire to keep becoming better, is the ultimate weapon against limitation. At the end of the day, limits don't disappear because life gets easier. They disappear because you get hungrier. The hungrier you are, the harder it becomes for anything to stop you. The hungrier you are, the more you'll risk, the more you'll sacrifice, the more you'll overcome. That hunger becomes your compass, your drive, your reason. So never lose it. Protect it, feed it, guard it with everything you have. Because once the hunger dies, your growth dies with it. But if you keep that fire alive, if you stay hungry, no matter how far you've come, then there truly are no more limits to what you can become. This is the moment where everything you've heard, everything you felt has to turn into something real. Because talk means nothing if it's not backed by transformation. You can't leave this message inspired for 5 minutes and then go back to your old limits. You can't keep saying you want it and then keep living like you don't. This right now is the turning point. This is the moment you stop waiting for motivation and start moving with conviction. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you the life you dream about. The only person who can make it happen is the one staring back at you in the mirror. And that person has everything it takes. They just haven't unleashed it yet. You have to understand, your potential isn't some hidden treasure buried deep inside you waiting for the right time. It's a beast trap behind your excuses. Every time you say, I can't, that beast gets weaker. Every time you say, I will, it wakes up. You've got to wake it up every single day. When it's dark, when it's cold, when nobody believes in you, you keep pushing. You grind like you've got something to prove to yourself. Because the truth is, the world doesn't reward the talented. It rewards the relentless, the ones who show up when it's hard, the ones who keep swinging even when they're bleeding, the ones who refuse to stop until they've conquered everything that tried to break them. You've got to look at your limits and laugh, because limits are illusions built by comfort. The moment you stop letting fear, doubt, and insecurity tell you who you are, you become unstoppable. You've got to take control of your narrative. You've got to say, no more limits, no more excuses, no more waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time is now. The perfect moment is now. The person you've been waiting to become, it's you. You just have to decide that you're done living below your potential. Listen, pain is part of the process. Failure is part of the journey. But if you can take the hit and keep moving, if you can take rejection and keep working, if you can keep believing when everything falls apart, that's where power is born. That's when life starts to respect you. Because life doesn't bend for the weak. It only rewards those who refuse to quit. You have to live like every day is a fight for your future, like everything depends on your effort, because it does. And when you start to see results, when the world finally notices what you've become, remember this: stay hungry, stay grounded, stay in the grind. Because success isn't a destination, it's a discipline. You don't reach it, you maintain it, you live it every single day. So don't let this fire fade when this video ends. Let it burn through your comfort zone, your laziness, your fears. Let it remind you that you were born to dominate, not to settle. The world is waiting to see the real you, the one without limits, without excuses, without fear. So stand up, take a deep breath, and declare with everything inside you: with the limits, I will rise, I will fight, I will win.